Sorry, guys. I forgot to hit live. You didn't see my great countdown. It wasn't it was a repeat of the countdown. Sorry for that. But hey, welcome. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, X-Runner. Noidscape. Good to see you, sir. Or ma'am, I assume it's sir. I'll take the over-under on that. But yeah, we're here. I was busy. I decided to host Post Zero later today, so I was like busy getting a thumbnail and whatnot all together and posting it all on Twitter. So I ended up scrambling a bit before it, so it figures that stuff would. Hey, Susano a la Richard, how's it going? Good to see you. So I was busy getting super busy. Yeah. Always good to see you live. Always, the more the merrier. That's what I say. The more the merrier. Everything. Let me make sure everything looks good. Microphone looks good. Yeah, we're ready to go. It's one of those things where I thought like, do I have enough? And then like, I keep adding more and more stuff. I'm like, oh, I got to cut stuff from this podcast. There's so much I wanted to talk about. But let's start off with a little bit, I guess, somewhat sad. 10 years ago. Today, or earlier this week, marked the 10-year anniversary of Satoru Iwata's death, and some would say maybe the death of the end of an era, at least for Nintendo, as maybe the creative era, the innovation era, as Nintendo kind of going into their corporate chill arc, where we're done with innovation. And we're just going to lean in our IPs. We're going to just make Switch 2s and Switch 3s. And, it's just the sort of PlayStation, Xbox model. We're just going to add numbers onto our consoles. We'll see what direction they end up going in. As a lot of the old guard, I mean, Miyamoto's not going to last forever. It's just, time moves on. As a lot of the old, really like big heads of Nintendo are going to start moving on. Even guys that like looked over Zelda, like Eiji Aonuma, are going to be moving on soon enough. So we'll see what happens. There is some bad news for Nintendo. This was an interesting thing. So I'm not going to watch the video, but this is from Nintendo Life by Ollie Reynolds. iFixit performs a full tear of the Pro Controller, calls it piss poor. So, repair firm iFixit did a teardown of the Switch 2 controller, review for its repairability and potential durability as an accessory, and calls it a piss poor excuse for the controller. And I'm a little surprised. I have a Pro Controller. I think I did have to replace it once at least. But I didn't find it to be a bad controller. Basically reveals how tricky it is to actually get in the Pro Controller, apply adhesives to the front plate, lots of hidden screws. I mean, that's every like modern video game controller now. They make it so difficult to get in. Priority like type of screw heads and all the stuff that you need. They really don't want you opening their stuff, which it sucks. It's just another one of those things like you don't actually own anything that you seem to buy anymore. Is they gotta try to control and make sure that you can't modify it or work on it or just make it your own. He also mentions that the headphone jack is fully modular and easily removable, but he also says that the sticks could be prone to drifting as well, and this is something we've heard about before with the Joy-Cons, where like a lot of the same technology is being used. The Joy-Cons was notorious for having a lot of drifting issues, but it seems like a lot of the stuff is still present in the modern hardware, which it isn't necessarily good. And the fact is that it's also $85 for this controller. It's almost like $100 to get this controller. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. 20 plus ways you can brick a Switch to everything from third-party docks to secondhand game cartridges. Yeah, we're going to be covering the secondhand game cartridges pretty soon. So this is it's crazy to see like what you're getting for your money. But I haven't used the Switch 2 myself, or the Switch 2 Pro controller, so I can't test it. I will say the Switch 1 controller, for the amount I used it and the hours I put in it, I thought it lasted pretty well. I did have to replace it once, but that was when I was playing Splatoon 2 like crazy, so I was putting in, thousands of hours of really hard gameplay on that thing, and it held up. It held pretty well. So maybe the replayability is bad, but overall the durability of the Switch 1 controller, at least, and if the Switch 2 is remotely as good, it should be still a pretty solid controller, in my opinion. And this was something I covered last week, that Amazon didn't have the Nintendo Switch, but it seems like Amazon is finally selling the Nintendo Switch 2. But you need to do this first, and basically Amazon is doing invite only for their Switch 2 and the Mario Kart bundle, essentially ditching the first come first serve, which is, I guess, a way to kind of like maybe fight scalpers. People just try to buy like 20 of the systems right away as fast as they can, bots and stuff. It's to ensure genuine customers as possible can get this high demand item, which I'm cool, good for them. I think a lot of this is on retailers to make sure somebody can't just buy 20 of these things as fast as they can with a bot, or like hundreds of them, or some sort of limits when stuff is in huge demand. So so it's interesting to see Amazon get more. Though to be honest, I don't know. Does that mean they have more stock? That means there's going to be less stock in other retailers. Because right now, the Nintendo Switch 2 is extremely hard to get. I've been looking in a lot of retailers. It's not like impossible. You could get it from, there was a thing on Walmart, like Walmart Plus, to get early access and get a Switch 2. Wasn't hard to get there. So there's opportunities, but unless you're really looking for it, like the normal customer, let's say, just can't walk in a store and buy one when they want to. You really do have to look for it. So I don't know what the overall stock situation is on the Switch 2, but with Donkey Kong coming up, I feel like there's some people that might want it. We'll see. Oh, thank you, PC Mag, for your annoying pop-ups. Speaking of Donkey Kong Bonanza, apparently it wasn't. Does this surprise anybody? It wasn't originally planned for the Switch 2. It was actually a Switch 1 game that they were working on, but as it sort of went on in the development cycle, and really, it makes sense that they really wanted to use the extra power of the Switch 2 to enable more the destructivity of the environments and stuff, and have that be retained. It makes sense that they like it because it seems to be a really big part. An important philosophy behind Donkey Kong Bonanza is what Takahashi and Motokura call continuity of destruction. The gameplay concept of being able to destroy part of the environment to find a reward, which in turn reveals a new area that can be destroyed for another reward, and so on. So basically, you just chain breaking stuff like crazy, which it seems like a very satisfying part of Donkey Kong Bonanza so far. I'll be seeing the gameplay. It's just it looks really really fun. So it makes sense that they would go for the higher processing power, but I have a feeling they probably could have released it on Switch 1, but they decided hey, our Switch 2 catalog is looking pretty. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4. Could they have released it on Switch 1, which they still will do? It's just that they wanted to hold off on a lot of this until sort of space it out with each of these titles. They had Mario Kart at launch. Now they're going to have Bonanza. Then towards the end of the year, they're going to have Prime 4 and then Pokemon as their really big flagship titles for the year. So they're drip feeding this stuff. It's not. They could just release a ton of stuff for the Switch 2, but then what would they have the hype for the holiday season? They got to have it. And this is also kind of interesting, and more Donkey Kong Bonanza stuff. It's coming out. It's next week. Coming out next week. Definitely looking forward to it. Won't confirm Donkey Kong's age in the new game, as it's good fodder for player theory. And I think this is a good thing to do. Why explain everything to everybody? Why just put out all the stuff at the beginning? Let people have fun with it. I kind of like it. Even some of these famous stories where they don't really tell you what happened to the characters. They just sort of leave it. I think it was like Old Man in the Sea, where they don't really tell you exactly what happened to the old man. Did he die at the end? Did he not? What happened to him after he got back? They let you wonder and make it up yourself. They don't necessarily need to. Everyone wants you to just tell them what happened. What's canon. I think in some ways you got to just let it go. Just let it be out there. Let people make up their own stuff. I think that's the best way to do it. Added that Donkey Kong Bonanza wanted Pauline's character to act in some cases a bit of the narrator on the game's release. So like she's kind of like the voice of the game, which makes sense because Donkey Kong can't really talk, and considering what we would probably have both new players who are experienced in Donkey Kong in the game for the first time, as well as people who are longtime fans of Donkey Kong, you had the opportunity to offer a character that was familiar to longtime players, but had a new appearance that might be interesting for new folks as well. The director, so like Pauline's kind of you don't know what's going on because you've seen her in Odyssey, same team that made it. So, but now she's young. Is Donkey Kong just older? Has she been turned young? You have to find out. You have to play to find out, I guess. That's the catch with the game. The projection was 15 million. Yeah, for this year, maybe it's capped around that mark. Yeah, if they can hit that manufacturing mark, then yeah, it would make sense. I don't know if tariffs would affect it at all. When I don't know the overall demand to it too, so it's they wouldn't have ordered much more to be made than that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's probably the max. 15 million would be the max Switch 2s that are being made. Hey, good morning, Silver Bishop. Good to see you. Good to see you. But Nintendo, apparently, if you order certain games off Switch One games off of Facebook Marketplace, you could find yourself banned. So Switch 2 owner banned for playing secondhand games. This is the key right here with a bit of a clickbait type of title, but this I looked into it for you. I didn't just, unlike Grums, who just like clicks and says like there seems to be, like if you look view quotes at there seems to be more to this. I don't know if Grums will show up on my time. Probably not the first one. Oh, there must be more to this story. I actually bringing you the story here rather than farming engagement bait. So this is from the Metro, and this Switch 2 owner was banned for playing a secondhand game. So new concerns have arisen over Nintendo's strict policies over how you use your Switch 2. Though for the moment, it does seem there's a solution. So Nintendo gets away with a lot of negative consumer practice. I'll just summarize this for you, since I did read the article. Essentially, this guy bought a secondhand game off Facebook Marketplace. What they think happens, and they kind of explain it here, it seems the problem is indeed to do with piracy, as according to reader Dareem Ghoul, and this is a his theory here, that the MIG flashed up or mod cart copies all information on a Switch cart, including its unique identification number. So what's likely to have happened is that the seller of the secondhand game copied them before selling them on and continued to use them online. When Nintendo detected the same ID being used twice, it knew one of them was a pirated copy. But when the situation with the Facebook Marketplace was explained, it relented. So essentially, the guy that sold the game copied the game over to his MIG flashed upper. This is suspected. It's not 100% sure. But this is the theory. This is a going theory that kind of makes sense, is that they'd have the same ID, and Nintendo says, oh, and I don't know if they can do that with the Switch 1. I think that might be just a Switch 2 exclusive type of thing. Like, they have the same thing. That's probably a pirate copy. We're going to break your Switch. We're going to break your Switch 2. Apparently, the guy on Reddit here basically said, Switch 2 users, be careful buying a used Switch 1 game. You can get banned if a bad actor dumped it. Having said that, Nintendo support is amazing and will help you get back up and running. So this is one of the stories from this guy. Got banned and unbanned after simply downloading patches for a Switch, for 4 Switch 1 games I bought from Facebook Marketplace. If you get banned, go here and talk to a human select start chat. It's fast, painless, and you get a live person helping you. So much easier than getting support from Microsoft and Sony. So apparently he did get banned, but Nintendo support was praising Nintendo support for how quickly they were able to resolve the situation. So I guess good news there, at least. The guy that could prove that he legit bought the stuff off, legit games off Facebook Marketplace, was able to get unbanned. I don't know if the guy that mag dumped the stuff got banned, but that remains to be seen. Like I said, maybe Switch 1 can't do that. This would have happened with the original Switch. That ID would get your account banned on the OG Switch, to be clear. Okay. Though maybe, it's weird. Because it seems like, you'd think like the guy MIG dumping would be a little bit smarter about like not connecting it to online. Or maybe at some point they did and then haven't done it since. I don't know. It's hard to be seen. So yeah, I guess you got to be careful nowadays buying secondhand games. It's becoming harder and harder for the physical copy bros to get cheap games. Nintendo apparently does not want you to save money on games. They want to gouge you out of the ass. This coming today, or not today, but during the week, Nintendo is discontinuing its Switch game vouchers, which currently allows Nintendo Switch Online subscribers to buy Switch 1 games at a discount. I really like this program because I buy a lot of Nintendo first-party games. So you could pay $100 and you get 2 game vouchers. So basically, you get a Switch, Nintendo first-party games at $50 a piece, and that's pretty damn good. It's less than $60, which was, the last generation's, Switch 1 prices. And then, this generation's Switch 1 prices are, between $80 and $70. So maybe that's why they're discontinuing this program. But this really sucks because I quite enjoyed playing, the first-party games I wanted to play at a $50 price. If you're, a big Nintendo fan, this was definitely a really popular program, and it sucks to see Nintendo discontinuing it. I still have one voucher I need to use. I was hoping to use it for Bonanza, but hopefully that qualifies. It's really dumb. I don't know if they're gonna put in a new system in place, or you're just gonna have to bend over and pay $80 for some of these new titles that are coming out, which is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt for like $80. I'm gonna be a little bit more. I'll probably still play it. Let's be honest. I'm weak. All right, I'm weak, and I have disposable income. But for $80, I might be a little more scrutinous about what game I'm putting money out for. It really sucks to get rid of that. Not a fan. And also, if you wanted to get games for free, you want to pirate them, well, it's becoming more and more difficult as Kash Patel is on the case here. And the FBI announced today we've seized and dismantled the seizure and dismantlement of several illicit video game marketplaces from February to May this year. There are approximately 3.2 million illicit downloads, and these downloads caused an estimated loss of $170 million. Oh no, I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Nintendo and all those other people. I can't believe they lost all that money. I feel so bad for them. Oh wait, I don't. So yeah, Nintendo, the FBI teaming up together to stop you from getting games for free, I guess. Oh no, I'm glad the FBI is focusing on this. It's not like there's anything they should have been doing. It's not like there's a list of certain really rich people that might or might not have done stuff to young underage girls on an island. But we gotta save the billion-dollar gaming companies. That's our priority right now. All right, that and fighting anti-Semitism. Fighting anti-Semitism is number one. Protecting the billion-dollar game companies number two. Protecting, taking down billionaire pedophiles. That's who cares about that? That's old news. Forget about it. Never happened. And some of the sites that were seized is NSW2U, NSWID, Game2U. I guess some PS4 and some Nintendo Switch. I don't know if was there one dedicated to Rip Napster? Yep. If there is no one, where's one that's dedicated to Big Endgame? There's no site dedicated to Xbox games. Maybe that's just general pirating sites now. It's just PC sites. I kind of not to see a special like Xbox dedicated site. Kind of shows you the situation Xbox is in. No exclusives for you. And speaking of it's really hard out there for physical game bros. So this Strictly Limited Games announced is this Death Zone and Mex's Ritz is entering production. Thanks for your feedback. We're launching a third exclusive cover design. And this is another guy I'm following for Shmups and that kind of thing. These guys are turning into such a disaster. Thanks for your feedback. Seriously, the feedback is sending us our games, you clowns. So apparently people have been waiting years, over 2 years, for this Escatonis and Steel Empire, and they're launching a third cover for the game. So you can pay more money. Hey, how about giving us some more money before we deliver on the games that we promised you 2 years ago? It's I don't know what it is with these like limited run games, strictly limited games, all these like limited. Hey, we're putting a physical copy out on a Switch or whatever, and just crap. Ship our games. Where are our games? Send us our games. What do they say? Oh, thank you for your feedback. Well, here's a third cover for you. It runs like a Ponzi scheme ever since the pandemic. It's really bad for some of these people that want to have like a cool collectible item. Will they actually get their physical copies? Yeah, you definitely got to be careful out there. Some of these like companies that seem legit, they always seem to have issues. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think they already did pay for their product, or at least I would assume they did. I assume the pre-order required some money up front. This is like a 5-minute call to get my buddy back, at least in the U.S. Well, I get that, but I assume they want the copy. They want the actual game. They're excited for it. They want to actually have it delivered, but they're just taking forever to do it. And then, of course, saying like, "Hey, you want a third copy of it?" We haven't, we don't have any timeline of when it's going to be delivered, but here's a third variant for you. It just, again, it does seem like it's taking advantage of people and their love for video games. This is more of a funny thing. A Nintendo Switch owner has gone viral after sharing their budget gaming setup. This is just modern problems requiring modern solutions. It cost $15 and was described as super comfy. I mean, it probably does cost $15. This is literally just you can go to your local hardware store. 15. These brackets are about. I mean, at least when I worked at a hardware store, they were about like $3 each, probably $5. Piece of plexiglass. If you ask the guys, maybe they'll give you like a strap for pretty cheap. But yeah, getting this piece is like probably like what, 2 feet by like 16 feet or something like that. 24 by 12 or something around those measurements. Maybe it's only like 18 inches. Who knows? But it's a very cheap setup. So he just lays down in his bed and looks up at the screen, and then you got the Joy-Cons, the wireless controller. Not too bad. I'm personally not a fan of lying down while I play video games. But if you're into that, just, be careful when you're waking up. I think it's actually a very smart thing that he didn't screw down. It doesn't appear to have screwed the plexiglass to the brackets. That way it can be removed. That way, if you get up and hit your head on it, it'll give. Or you can just, remove it when you're not using it. I think that's smart. Very smart. Avoid some headaches. Let's move on. Oh, this Monster Hunter. To me, yeah, I can't play lying down either. I mean, I guess, if you're playing something that's really non-demanding, maybe you could, but I don't like to lay down when I play it. I just like to. When I sleep, when I'm in bed, I'll probably watch videos or something like that. It's not something I like to do lying down. Well, Monster Hunter, so I actually included this story not because I care about them trying to cut down on the Arc Temper FOMO. They're adding in, you can always hunt Arc Temper right now. I don't care about that. Really, what I want to talk about is how disappointing Monster Hunter has become. Well, not really become. It's the fact that they haven't addressed so many of the issues. Because I was playing Monster Hunter with my brothers the other day. I haven't played in a while. They added some new stuff. They added the Surge Ghost Hunt. They added I think it's a Lagaius, or I don't remember the third. It was a flagship from Monster Hunter 3. But they added those in. The hunts are fine. I enjoyed it, but I had connection issues. There were connection issues every hunt we had. And this has been out for almost half a year now. And they still have the same goddamn connection issues. Not to mention the optimization is so bad. It is still bad on this game. It takes forever to load. And this game was so hyped up, had 10 million copies sold, just ridiculous sales numbers. And a lot of these content creators were just shilling the hell out of it, calling it the best game ever. It's a 10 out of 10, but it has some issues. And I don't know if they still feel that way, but they look like complete idiots. Because this game has a lot of cool ideas, but what they added, it just is not worth all the performance issues that this game still has. The stuff with the weather changing is cool, but it almost never comes into a factor at all in any hunts. At no point of it's raining, or there's lightning. Let me use that. I've never used it in any of the hunts I've ever had. The fact that these things, the maps connect together, never used in a hunt at all. You're always going to fast travel. They're all gimmicks. They're all just gimmicks that don't add anything to the gameplay. All it does is add a bunch of performance issues, makes a bunch of people makes it so a bunch of people can't play these games on their rigs. So you're probably going to be left out. People are going to be left out of your play group that could play Rise or World. It's really disappointing to see how the development cycle has turned out on this, as they haven't been able to address a lot of the issues that came out. And it really, people gave Night Rain, Elden Ring Night Rain, a lot of issues, a lot of shit, because it had a lot of matchmaking issues. But to me, I've had a few disconnects in Night Rain, but you're able to reconnect to to the people. So it's not that big of a deal. And of course, if you have 3 people, you don't have to worry about the matchmaking thing. It works perfectly. I've almost have no issues playing Night Rain multiplayer. I think it's much more fun than Monster Hunter Wilds. It's crazy that this game got so much praise when it first came out, and then Night Rain got so much shit. But in my opinion, Night Rain is hands down a better game, both technically and in terms of the gameplay that it has. It's just, I think, a lot more challenging, a lot more fun. There's some actual stakes in the hunt, in the actual gameplay loop. that just isn't there in Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds is just a bunch of grinding. It's really sad to see how bad this. Like, I enjoy Monster Hunter Wild. It's not a bad game. It just sucks to see a franchise that's really good just take such a nosedive, and just this general pursuit of like this production value, this good looking stuff. Whoa, this is so fancy. It's all like this marketing gimmick that doesn't add anything to the game. Has just been a constant issue with the gameplay that they still have not addressed yet in this stuff. Like, I don't care about Arc Temper Raydao or Uth Duna. What I want is to play with my friends and not have a disconnect every single hunt. That's what I want. And they still haven't been able to deliver on that. Yeah, it's the only game that I've been playing multiplayer wise that's been having those connection issues. It really sucks. Yeah, exactly. High rank doesn't do that much. They're not super challenging. And then of course they're threatening to sue people if well, they're saying it criticized. There are some people, like, according to my brother, some people said that they need to get Kyoto Animationed. If you're familiar with Kyoto Animation, I think somebody set fire to it. I believe, and like 20 people died. So it's it was arson. It killed 36 people, injuring an additional 34 people, and destroyed most of the materials and computers in Studio One. So I mean, that was a pretty serious thing. But those are the kind of stuff that people on the internet will say. I don't think it's a serious thing, but obviously, if you make those sort of threats, they say that they'll try and sue you, or take legal action against you. Not gonna. That took place. So you got to be careful, I guess, when addressing staff. So, but people are still quite upset about how bad the performance is. Capcom cancels performance extra staff face threats from its players. People are still upset, and I think rightfully so. If you paid $70 for a game and they still have not optimized it, you deserve to get some pushback on that. Speaking of stuff that still looking good, this is something that came up to my timeline. Some fan work Fridays, highlighting some epic shots taken in Space Marine 2. Space Marine still looking like a really good game. Really enjoyed the game. Just the presentation on this game is just fantastic. And of course, that's also helped by the fact that the sort of lore in the world are extremely cool. And space, speaking of Warhammer, Dawn of War Definitive Edition, about 1 month from now, is going to be coming out. Enhanced trailer. This was such a great trailer. I should expand it if I'm watching this. Oh, this compression's terrible. It's such a good trailer, though. Gotta have the standard. Gotta have the standard raised. This is a depiction of take a control point in Dawn of War. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be sweet. Oh, $30. That's not bad. Oh, 30% permanent discount for existing Dawn of War owners. Does that include? Is that off 30% off the $30? That sounds like a deal. Definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to playing that. I got Bonanza, then I got Dawn of War Definitive Edition, a backlog of games. There's way too much to play. Way too much to play. And I'm playing anime horse racing. I'm not going into this article, but I saw this Kotaku tweet, and well, it's Kotaku. If it needed a reminder that Kotaku is a piece of shit, and you should hate them, I present to you this. Help fight ICE and get 100 games and over 400 tabletop RPGs. God, I hate these people so much. I'm glad I'm playing Japanese games. I'm glad I'm playing Japanese gacha games, to be honest. So many of these Western devs are piles of shit that support stuff like this. We need to help fight ICE. We got to keep our illegal immigrants at our pot fields. Who will pick our weed, guys? Weed could go up like 20% if we don't have illegals picking it. How am I supposed to smoke the day away? With this modern inflation and stuff, how are you supposed to afford your weed if you don't have illegal immigrants picking it? It's a real tragedy, real first world problem that needs to be addressed. Only video games can help fight against ICE. This is an interesting. Speaking of smoking your day away, this was an interesting article, and who knows who's at fault here. I'll let you guys decide. So Krafton accuses former Subnautica 2 bosses of abandoning the game in surprising new statement. We feel a profound sense of betrayal by their failure to honor the trust the team placed in them. So, essentially what happens, I guess maybe I won't go into this whole article, but Subnautica, a very popular indie game, it got streamed a lot. Guys like PewDiePie helped make it famous by streaming it. A lot of people liked it. You explore underwater. There's these giant underwater world, giant monsters and stuff. It does look like a cool game. I've never played it myself. Subnautica 2, obviously you've really anticipated sequel to this game. So, best known, they published PUBG, acquired Subnautica developer Unknown Worlds for $500 million. In addition to that, put another $25 million in earn-out compensations on the table, essentially bonus for achieving certain target milestones. And now they're saying that the designer-director Charlie Cleveland, Ted Gill, and co-founder Max McGuire were fired earlier this month. They're basically saying that they weren't working on their game, so they'd rather were deeply disappointed. They feel a profound sense of betrayal. They're saying that in particular, following the failure of Moonbreaker, Krafton asked Charlie to devote himself to the development of Subnautica 2. However, instead of participating in game development, he chose to focus on a personal film project. So they're suing Krafton, court register seal at the moment, so it's hard to get the case. Okay. What I'm sure they will, because basically they're delaying the game so they can't get their bonus. Essentially, the makers that are being accused of betraying Krafton are saying that the game is ready for an early access release, defended the work on Subnautica 2, saying that the game is in its current state is ready for early access release. Nonetheless, a delay into 2026 was announced a few days later. There was some speculation that Krafton pushed the release in order to avoid the $250 million payout But the publisher said the decision was not influenced by contractual and financial considerations. I'm sure that's just lawyer speak that they need to do. So Krafton saying that they weren't working as hard as they should have on making the game. Basically, these guys are saying that it's ready to go, or at least early access. I don't know, how complete a game has to be early access. Who knows? So these three guys saying that Krafton is trying to screw them out of $250 million. Krafton clearly does not want to pay these guys $250 million and are firing them. Did Krafton sort of kick them out after they did the work and trying to save themselves some money? Or were these guys, had the success with Subnautica, got a ton of money, and then, started sort of goofing around, working on other stuff, and thought, they had sort of like golden parachutes, essentially. Who knows? But it's an interesting sort of thing to keep an eye on with, like Susano saying, the court records are all sealed, so it will be hard to see, get the actual details. But big money. Who's in the wrong? An interesting story. Though I'm not really interested. Personally, I'm not that interested in Subnautica 2. Never played the first one. Frankly, I don't like the sort of like I don't really have theasophobia, I think is what it's called, when you're afraid of giant creatures underwater. But I don't think I have it, but I don't particularly like it. I think it's called thalassophobia. Is an intense and persistent fear of deep bodies of water such as oceans and seas and large lakes. It's characterized by singular anxiety and avoidance behaviors related to deep water, often leading to panic attacks. Okay. Fear of the unknown. Maybe I do have that. But it's definitely a game that sort of plays off that sort of fear. Kind of like, those sort of like horror games, like what could be behind it, what ghosts and that. That's why it was such a popular stream game, I think. People like that kind of stuff. I'll pass on that. This was kind of a hidden gem thanks to the sort of loser communist known as Daniel Ahmed. I hate the guy. He's a journalist or like data analyst for some company, really anti-American, pro-China, pro-communist. He was bragging that he got this game the name of the game changed. But this story is actually really funny. So let me take a drink and let's get into it. Anti-fraud tool or sexist game. Gold digger dating simulator game stirs debate in China. A hit Chinese game that's where turn the tables on love scams. Critic says it's go too far by portraying women as schemers. This is by Leica Sha Leo, or Leo probably was pronounced. So Singapore. While out on a food delivery, a young Chinese writer meets a girl and falls head over heels in love. But this meet cute does not have a happy ending. The man is quickly manipulated by his new girlfriend who steals all his money by asking for expensive dinner and luxury gifts. Uh-oh. He's a blue pill beta loser. And the storyline from a recent released live-action video game, Revenge on Gold Diggers, which has sparked intense interest and debate across China, billed as China's first interactive anti-scam video game. Love the premise of this. Players assume the role of Wu Luyun, the game's male protagonist, who has once fallen prey to a pig butchering love scam. That's kind of what they call gold digging in China. Determined to get even, Wu embarks on a mission to infiltrate a crime syndicate led by several women who con lovelorn men out of their money before vanishing into thin air. Since its release on June 19th, the game has sold over 1 million copies, soaring to the top of gaming charts, even surpassing Black Myth Wukong at one point on the leading global game platform Steam. It has also garnered rave reviews for its realistic and interactive gameplay and storylines. At the same time, it is being slammed for portraying misogynistic and harmful gender stereotypes. Its provocative anti-scam content is infuriating. One user who goes by the handle Uncle U, and in the game was cheap entertainment barely elevated from lowbrow clickbait. Oh, this guy clearly doesn't like it. Writing on a Sia Weibo microblogging site, a feminist. Oh, of course, we got to get a feminist. The blogger who goes by the user handle Always Be Brave. God, what a handle. Criticized the game for forcibly associating women with emotional fraud. Oh no. Women never. What if women ever used emotional fraud to get what they want? Never happens, really. It's only a fiction. Real anti-fraud education should make people see how power can harm relationships rather than teaching people how to hate a certain gender. Yeah, it's about power can harm relationships. AKA, it should be about blaming men is what that means. Anytime someone brings up power, like, oh, men are powerful, right? It's women that are powerless. Rather than teaching people how to hate a certain gender. This is what happens when a video game relies on manufactured content, fabricated storylines, and playing the victim card for clout. Yep. Men are never the victim. Never the victim, of course. A female gaming blogger on Weibo by the handle Kui Fang Thing Yan. Tapping into scam paranoia. I just like keeps going on like this. Ongoing social anxiety over scams. Then they try to basically then they try and say, oh, it doesn't happen that often. They try to downplay it. There's only 40,000 cases of telecom fraud involving 82,000 people. Of course, let's be real. We all know that there's plenty of bad women out there that use emotional manipulation, take advantage of men. The whole entire like red pill space is kind of based around the fact that too often men are willing and desperate enough to kill themselves or sacrifice themselves in order to make a woman's life better. And of course, there are women out there that are confident enough and know enough to take advantage of this. But of course, if you were to bring this up, if you were to make any media that brings this up, it's English title revenge on. So basically, they were able to stir enough outrage and backlash that Chinese title was changed from Gold Digger game to Emotional Anti-Fraud Simulator. But the English title, Revenge on Gold Diggers, remains unchanged. Thank goodness. Anytime you basically, bring up the dark side of women's sexuality, that immediately has to be changed. You can't have that. You're allowed to have tons of media portraying men as wife beaters and abusive. That's incredibly popular and happens everywhere. You can see that anywhere. But, of course, Daniel Ahmed gets mentioned, so he has to bring it up. From media market research, Nico Partners noted that growing popularity interactive simulation games among Chinese gamers, which feature life characters embracing storylines. This game is most about taking revenge on women said to be catfishing. Uh-oh. We got to get Nuke in on this. Where's Nuke at here? Or emotion manipulating men with the goal of taking their money. Saying added to players make their own choices over 8 hours of live action content and 200 decision points. Underscores the delicate balance required for when tackling sensitive societal issues through video games, not just in China, but also globally. It's more of a film. Of course, like I said, people just don't. If you criticize women, then you're gonna get a lot of pushback. But it's just a hilarious article to see this game. One, the fact this game is popular, and two, that it's caused so much controversy. The second you attack, like I said, women's the dark side of women's sexual strategy, then all of a sudden that's an issue. Unpopular trope. It's got to be destructive. But of course, feel free to portray men as as wife beaters, rapists. It's just, that's the A-okay to portray men as evil. Second, you start doing to women, whoa, it's too much. It's causing real life harm to women. In this case, it's possible that gamers heavily exposed to the game's narratives might start to see women as being stereotypical gold diggers and intimate relationships as really transactional. Over time, this might lead to a distorted view on dating and gender roles, especially among young and socially isolated gamers, aka incels. Oh no, the incels. They might have distorted worldview about women and gender roles. What can we do? It's so funny. So funny to see. Now I'm gonna skip that. Let's get to it. Let me take a drink and we'll get to our final topic. The game of the week here. So this is Uma Musume Pretty Derby. Uma, I believe, means horse in Japanese, and Musume means girl in Japanese. I think. I didn't look it up, but I think I know enough about Japanese to confidently say that. But this game had its global release, and it seems like a new trend is that these games that are made for the phone are also being released on Steam, so you can play them on your computer. It's actually doing quite well, especially considering that I think it's primarily a phone game. That it is hit a peak of 50,000, and its 24-hour peak is 48,000, so almost 49,000. So it's maintaining its player base pretty well. We'll see how that turns out in over the month here. But in 92% review score, it's the game itself. I'll go into it. I think it's a pretty fun game. Of course, it's a gacha game, so it has all the stuff sort of attached to it, and the sort of addictive loops. But there has been some stuff around pretty wholesome news around the game, where most of the horses that are in the game are like from like the early 2000s, some even from like the 90s and the 80s. So a lot of them are dead. A lot of the horses are dead, or have died in a race or something. They get injured and then they get put down. It's a fairly common thing in racing, horse racing, unfortunately. But some of them are still alive. One being Harurara is certainly still alive, and apparently you can send gifts to her in the form of grass, and a lot of people have donated grass to Harurara, and people have been making all sorts of funny memes about it, as you can send these retired horses the gift of some ryegrass. I don't know if this 100 billion kg of ryegrass is true, but it's I could believe it. I think a lot of these horses have become very popular among the people that have played the game. Apparently, you can also send stuff like I guess Grass Wonder's still alive too, and you can send Grass Wonder gifts. It's also led the game's developer to put out some etiquette rules for visiting stables. Apparently, horses are also gigantic pussies, and they're very scared of sounds and stuff, so you have to be very careful when visiting some of these horses. So a lot of people are started discovering the real-life horses, and some are still alive. Harurara, still alive. Gold Ship is still around in the farm, and I guess you can visit them, but you have to do it by invitation, or you have to make a reservation beforehand. And of course, they're actual like ranches, so people are working. but it's kind of interesting to see people giving them gifts and wanting to visit horses and learning about horse races. Like, I don't know anything about horses, so I guess they are very skittish, and they're sensitive creatures. So it's apparently, making a lot of noise, like yelling like, "Oh, yay, it's Gold Ship," or "It's Harara," like, ah. That might, cause it to have a heart attack or something. That wouldn't be good. So you have to sort of follow the rules and ask, don't just show up at the stable. But hopefully no one would do that. But you never know. You never know. Some of these guys are a little bit unhinged. This is from a few years ago. It's funny, like, seeing these things get millions of views now. This is Gold Ship. They are like beautiful, beautiful creatures in real life. Of course, most of them are men. Uh, well, it's unsurprising. Most of the best racing horses are males. I guess they're probably like just stronger in general. But there have been some female horses that have won, some of these like G1 races that are the sort of like most prestigious, highest ranking races in the racing world. You end up learning like way too much about stay away from the backside. Just saying, yeah, you definitely don't want to be kicked by a horse. That would end poorly. But let's actually get into the game. I don't want to get bucked. This is Uma Musume Pretty Derby. Essentially, one of these sort of anime, the sort of genre of gacha game where it's anime girl collectors, where you get to, they have a gacha system. So you have your anime racing girl that, of course, you can gamble to get, better, or, like high star anime girl horses. But what essentially the gameplay loop is you have to sort of raise these anime horse girls to win races. And what you have here is this, you get to choose like what stats to raise. Usually they're always successful, but you have an energy bar at the top. And if the energy gets too low, there's a chance of failure. So you have to manage the energy bar while choosing which stat to raise. And if you look at the sort of top right of the screen, you can see those two icons. Well, it's not really, it's the top right of the left-hand side screen. You see like two portraits. What sort of like assistants show up. Like, this is a rainbow training. You have to like raise your relationships with your sort of like support deck. And they give you like special training that raises, the amount of stats you get. So essentially you have to you can influence how many stats they get by making choices here. Like, you can raise the relationship with these 3 horses by choosing wit. But do I necessarily need more wit? It's hard to say, but this also doesn't take energy. So you may want to choose. So in that case, I chose that. So you can influence how they grow, but at the same time, what shows up where is random. That kind of does influence where they show up by what they are. Like, speed cards will show up with speed. Power cards will show up more with power, but in this case I have like 4 horses, so it increases, helping me out, so it increases the stats a lot on speed. So there's elements of randomness, but there's also elements of strategy too. So a lot of these games, like, you think about Balatro was like super popular based off poker, where they give you stuff that that helps you influence like what happens. Of course, there's obviously the randomness of the decks, but choosing what deck you use. These sort of gameplay loops are very popular, and I think really work well with sort of like human psychology. Like, you it's weird because like I want the consistency of being able to like I like, some stuff like SMUPs that have that consistency that it's the same thing every time, but it's, a very, how should I put it? It's a very crafted challenge with like the enemies and the ships and stuff. But then you have games like this, which are very much random. Like you can have really good runs, you can have really bad runs. But there's something about the human psychology that likes that randomness, likes that serotonin boost of like, whoa, all of a sudden 4 of these horse girls show up in this training, and the training's like double what it normally is. So this is like really good luck. But you can also have really bad luck. So like no run is exactly the same. And there's also an element of luck in the run, in the actual racing itself. You don't control any of the racing. It's that you just create their stats, you give them the skill points, and you just send them off to do as best they can, and you have to watch them win or lose based on like what you get them. So you could do your best to craft them, and like you can get better horses as you raise them. They'll have a chance to get certain stat points that help transfer to other horses. I won't go like super deep into it because it'll just take too long. But you can like slowly get better horses that make your other horses better. Which hopefully allows you to succeed in this sort of like career mode and get to the finals and allow your anime horse girl to achieve their dreams, essentially. Let me sort of skip on. This is just sort of the general, like I said, general loop. And this is the career mode, like I mentioned, where you get to choose which one of your anime waifus you want to raise. And this is the legacies. Like I said, as you level up your characters, you can get better. You can get better horses that give better initial stats to your horse. So you have like you have this sort of like general meta progression system, which is always a good thing. A lot of these gacha games like to sort of include among the randomness is you have to have meta progression. You have to always like feel like your account's getting better, even if necessarily you don't do well. And these are the support decks. There is a lot of the stuff is random, but you also have to have like control to it. You have to make people think like, and I guess it does make a difference. So it's not like they're just thinking that the stuff is good. You also can influence with these cards, which of course these cards you have a gacha system for too. If they added males required, but they didn't know that that would kind of like break the sort of like idle type of thing, idle type of system they have in it. Where they have to be untouched by men. Of course, you're the person that they fall in love with, not some guy or some horse that you go on. You don't want to be cucked by your anime horse waifu. So like these are support cards you got, and they do influence where they show up in the training. So there is some strategy there. Like I said, there is also a lot of randomness in it as well. But it seems like a lot of these games, it's really important to have like random elements and elements that make it more. Wait, this is a anime game. It's supposed to be male friendly. Only made for men by men. They do give you an option of making your trainer female, but no men ever appear in this game, basically, as characters. But this is an example of of a race. This is after you've sunk in, minutes. A lot of these runs take about 30 to 40 minutes. So, like, as you get to the end of the run, you're like pretty invested in trying to make sure your horse is successful here. But this is how it plays out. After you do this a few times, you just skip through a lot of these races, but the race itself is kind of exciting. My horse is the one with the arrow over it. Right now, she's in second. There's also a lot, like I said, mentioned, there's a lot of randomness in the race itself where they can get trapped but in like the sort of pack and they're unable to break out. This is why a lot of like meta people will use front runners like Silent Suzuka where they can just stay in the lead most of the time. In this case, she's sort of fallen behind a little bit. It's like midway through the race, she's still in second. Usually she wants to be in front. So I'm getting a little bit worried that she might be losing stamina and not be able to make that final spurt. So this is the final stretch. She's starting to pull away. I will mention that one of the thing that's kept pretty brilliant that this game does with the camera angles here is that they'll have camera angles like this, like they'll remove that. You notice here that they have that a few frames ago they have this top thing where you can see exactly where your horse is positioned. So right now I see my horse is in number 1. I see, relative to the rest of the pack. But then they cut it off and they have like angles like this, like is she in front? Is she not? I don't necessarily know here. You can see her kind of pulling ahead. And in this case, it's actually pretty obvious she's ahead of him. She's so far ahead, but they do a really good job of making sure you can't necessarily tell who's in the lead until the very end. The entire game is in Japanese, which I'm a little surprised how popular it is. So I think this is becoming less and less of a cultural thing. Where games that are just completely in Japanese and just subbed can still be fairly popular in an English audience. Nuke's here. Hey, Nuke. We were just talking about catfishing, and I brought you up, but you weren't here. And of course, they also have this sort of idol tie-in thing beyond the horse racing, where you can sort of watch these concerts. You can see your horse girl singing and a little sort of anime concert. Of course, no, I skipped that part. You have all sorts of different anime tropes if you're familiar with anime. The different tropes. Goldchip's kind of like a goofy character. You also get to see they have all like the arrows go up, sort of like blinking lights, ching 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 ching, all that stuff that like activates the neurons. They've got it in spades. They know how to keep people interested. So here's an example of this race that's not going. I know this race is going right or wrong here, but you can't necessarily tell. So in this case, Goldship got stuck behind a bunch of people. So it's kind of random, but luckily they offer items to redo it. This is like the final race. So like I'm sweating, like I've put in like 30 to 40 minutes in this career run. Like, is she going to lose at the very final match? And I'm like, oh shit. She lost again. Luckily I haven't failed. She hasn't lost a race. Or at least, she's hit all her, and then again, she's getting stuck in the in the back. I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna lose again. This is why people run front runners. So even in this, like, there's no guarantee you're gonna win the race, even if your stats are like super good. This was a very good run. I'm still getting screwed. And it's almost like this needs to be part of these games for them to be addictive. Like, in like the psychology part, like it can't be known. Like, you always got to like think like, oh God, is this the end of the race? Am I going to get fucked? But this one's looking pretty good. I like, again, the angle, like, you have no idea like who's in front here. They do such a good job with that. It's like to make you sweat. They don't really have equipment. It's just like training and legacies. But of course, as you like look at this angle, you can see Gold Chip annihilates them. That run. So like lose, annihilate. It's like what sense does that make? People get on horse races and get addicted. I have Gold Chip's she's a piece of shit. Just to kick you. Abusive. She's actually one of the more popular characters because she's kind of a goof. But I also wanted to show you this. They always do like these great. This is the gotcha sort of like pull thing where they always got to put a lot of effort to make sure this looks as cool as possible. We have like this beautiful woman like, come on, let's go. Spend your money. Tons of fanfare and confetti. Like, ooh, what's it going to be? Of course, it's the worst one. A 1 star. But they got all this fanfare and stuff like, whoa, way to pull that character. They're so good at making this kind of stuff. I just included this. This is the sort of casual what Japanese people think of American people. This is the American horse girl. Just randomly uses English words. And really loudly, too. The way she talks in Japanese is ridiculous. A race gear is also looks like a cowboy. If you're wondering, she's the blonde cowboy in of this game. Holding on the classic let me use it. Taiki shuttle. I don't know if I got her signature race gear here. Let's see. That's her signature race. She's got the star. She's got a cowboy hat in the back, of course. Giant boobs, a gun on the side. It's, exactly the stereotypical anime American girl. Which I like that trope, to be honest. I'm not that offended by this. If that's how they want to portray American women, so be it. It's fine with me. Fine with me. But that's Uma Musume here. I enjoy the game. I like I like the weeb stuff. I like anime. The gacha games, like I said, they're not great games. They're not like well designed, but they're made to be addictive, and they are addictive. in the sense you got the numbers going up, you got the randomness of it. Like a lot of these games get praised to the hilt, like Vampire Survivors. I mentioned Balatro. A lot of these like run off a lot of these same systems where it's sort of controlled randomness to these runs. A lot of the roguelikes or roguelites, if you want to use that term, have that, element of randomness where like you do have some skill. Though like unlike a game like Zenless Zone Zero, Uma Musume doesn't like pretend to be an action game. It's like everything's stat based. You don't have control over the horse. So you can like choose different strategies that might be more successful most of the time. It is free to play. Yes, that's true, Susanna. It is free to play, but like most gacha games, but it also has plenty of ways to like pay to win. You can definitely make your thing better, but it's the PvP elements aren't like aren't a super big part of it. I guess the long game maybe, but it's nothing like you'll feel like, whoa, I'm really missing out if I don't PvP, because that would be the place where like sort of like pay to win would be kind of annoying, where like you can't compete with the best unless you're dropping tons of money. But like I said, the PvP elements of it aren't that big of a deal. So you don't really feel like, oh no, this guy's beating my brains out because he dropped, $1,000 and have like the most upgraded cards and all the best horses and, a million copies of it, of each horse. So that's fine. And I mean, the actual career mode's kind of fun if you're interested in like finding out what the horses, the different horses, their personalities and their stories, and some of the stuff kind of like, it is kind of interesting the way they tie in some of their stories with actual horse racing, like in the cases of like Rice Shower, how she was sort of known, or like the actual horse was known for stopping the Triple Crown win of Mihono Bourbon. He also stopped Major McQueen, Majoro McQueen, from winning a third title in, I think, like one of the other races, the Spring Tenso Show or whatever it's called. So kind of like unpopular as a sort of like heel that sort of only like really raced really well when he was like preventing somebody else's record. And they could sort of tie that into the story of the horse itself in the anime, or like some of their details, like Rice Shower being a giant goofball is kind of related to the actual horse being a bit of a goof, doing a lot of like different misbehaving and a lot of like different behavior. Like one of the races he was like favored to win, he ended up jumping over tried to jump over the horse gate at another horse, and then ended up becoming dead last. It was like a 15 billion yen, what was it, 12 billion yen incident. They actually have like something like this. This was like portrayed in the anime. This is in real life. Gets off on a really bad start and then ends up losing. Like a ton of people bet on Gold Ship because like it was favored to win. And known for just doing whatever it wanted to do. It was kind of interesting the way they sort of tied in some of like the actual historical events of the real life horse racing with the anime itself. It also kind of helps flesh it out and makes it feel a little bit realer, if that makes sense. That's Uma Musume, guys, and that's the that's it for the podcast. You can check it out. Like I said, I guess I would recommend it if you want like a gacha game, if you like anime. I don't think you really need to spend money to enjoy it. So that's good for now. Like, but it's like one of those things, like the more you get invested, the more the urge to spend money is there. Like to make to like succeed with some of these horses. There definitely is like you're failing runs over and over. there's definitely an urge like, hey, if I spent some money and got some better cards, then it'd be easier. So it's there. So, play with caution. It's definitely a time sink. It could potentially be a money sink as well. So, but, if you play it free to play, you can get hours of entertainment on your phone or on your computer with Anime Horse Girls. That's it for the podcast, guys. Have a wonderful day. And we'll catch you in a few hours. I'll be hosting Post Zero here on my channel as we talk about escaping modern media and finding the hidden gems that are around for guys. So join me then, and I'll talk to you later. Can I redirect to my own video? I can. I'm going to redirect to my own video, guys. So join me in 40 minutes. I'm not sure who's joining me, but I know Jack will be late, but we'll see who gets in. I'll see you then.